When are you going to learn, man, that it is completely inappropriate and unacceptable, and the king simply will not have it, and the royal family simply will not have it, with you calling up trashy reporters at trashy mainstream media publications to try and force them into doing something they don't want to do?
He is now 100% trapped. I mean, he talked about it on that TV show, that he's the one that can't get away, because now she rules the roost. She's cut him off from the family. She's got no family. She's got the friend. She's got Marcus Anderson. He's a fun person, and he will fill her in with the gossip and all of that sort of stuff. But, you know, Harry to her, a means to an end.
Why is Harry making like all these games around his children, trying to be this, you know, man that gets what he wants all the time, and using your children to do it? It's so wrong and disgusting. I don't even know. Harry is just a broken man, Dan. He is broken in a big way. And I feel sorry for those children. I really do, because they're the ones who are going to be the ones losing out and not having these experiences while they're young.
Welcome back to the channel Behind the Palace. Before anyone expected another chapter in the long-running tensions surrounding the royal family, a new controversy reignited the debate. Reports suggested that Prince Harry had made it clear he would not bring his children to the United Kingdom unless adequate security arrangements were in place. What followed was a storm of headlines, heated commentary, and growing speculation that King Charles had quietly refused to bend under public pressure. Was this simply a disagreement over security, or had it become a much deeper struggle over trust, family, and the future of their relationship? Critics accused Harry of attaching conditions to a family reunion, while supporters argued that protecting his wife and children remained his highest priority. As the public debate intensified, questions multiplied. Had reconciliation slipped even further out of reach? And what did the king's reported response reveal about the monarchy's determination to draw a firm line? The answers, according to reports and royal commentators, paint a far more complicated picture than many first imagined. The latest controversy surrounding Prince Harry and King Charles began with what many believed should have been a simple family matter. Instead, it quickly evolved into another public debate over security, trust, and the increasingly complicated relationship between the Duke of Sussex and the royal family. According to multiple media reports, Prince Harry maintained that without adequate security arrangements, he would not bring Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet to the United Kingdom. While Harry has consistently argued that security concerns remain his primary reason for limiting visits, critics questioned whether the dispute had become about far more than personal safety. At the center of the discussion was one question that dominated headlines and royal commentary alike. Did King Charles refuse to accommodate Harry's request, or was the situation simply the result of long-standing legal and constitutional boundaries? Reports suggested there was no indication that the king intended to intervene directly in ongoing security decisions, despite continued public speculation. That alone sparked another wave of intense reactions, with royal commentators arguing that the monarch could not be seen changing official procedures simply because the issue had become the subject of public debate. However, that's where things became more complicated. Many observers pointed out that Harry's concerns about security were not entirely new. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, he has repeatedly spoken about the challenges of visiting Britain without the same level of publicly funded protection previously provided during his time as a working royal. Legal proceedings surrounding those security arrangements have kept the issue in the spotlight for years, making every planned visit a source of renewed controversy. Supporters of Prince Harry argue that his concerns are understandable. They believe that given his public profile and the level of attention surrounding both him and his family, ensuring appropriate protection is a reasonable request rather than an unreasonable demand. From that perspective, any decision involving Archie and Lilibet must place their safety above everything else. Critics, however, see the situation very differently. According to several royal commentators, linking a family reunion to unresolved security arrangements created the impression that deeply personal relationships had become tied to public negotiations. While there is no confirmed evidence that Harry intended to pressure his father, some observers argued that the public nature of the discussion made reconciliation even more difficult. They suggested that once private family matters become front-page news, every decision risks being interpreted through a political or constitutional lens rather than an emotional one. Then another detail emerged. As media coverage intensified, commentators increasingly focused on King Charles's position. The monarch, they argued, faces responsibilities that extend far beyond his role as a father. Any appearance of personally influencing government security decisions involving his own son could raise questions about constitutional neutrality. For that reason, several royal experts suggested that remaining publicly silent may have been the only realistic option available to the king, regardless of his personal feelings. That perspective fueled another round of debate across television panels, newspapers, and social media platforms. Some believed Charles was standing firm to protect the integrity of the monarchy, while others felt the ongoing distance between father and son represented a heartbreaking missed opportunity for reconciliation. Public reaction quickly split into opposing camps, with each side interpreting the king's reported response through a completely different lens. What almost everyone agreed on, however, was that the situation had moved far beyond a disagreement over one family visit. It had become another chapter in the wider story of fractured relationships, public scrutiny, legal battles, and competing expectations that have defined the Sussexes' relationship with the royal family for years. And as the debate continued to grow, many royal watchers began asking an even bigger question. If both sides remain firmly committed to their positions, what would it actually take to rebuild trust before time runs out? As the debate surrounding Prince Harry's security concerns continued to dominate headlines, attention gradually shifted toward another question that many royal commentators considered even more significant. If the disagreement wasn't simply about one visit to Britain, then what was really preventing a family reunion? That question sparked countless discussions across television panels, newspapers, and social media, with commentators offering sharply different interpretations of the situation. Some royal observers argued that the dispute, almost every interaction, is viewed through the lens of previous conflicts. According to commentators, rebuilding personal relationships becomes far more difficult when every development immediately generates worldwide headlines. However, others urged caution before drawing conclusions. While speculation has become a constant feature of royal reporting, very little is publicly known about the private conversations taking place between family members. Neither Buckingham Palace nor Prince Harry routinely comments on confidential discussions, leaving much of the public narrative shaped by media reports, anonymous sources, and expert analysis rather than confirmed facts. As a result, many of the strongest opinions surrounding the dispute remain exactly that, opinions rather than verified information. Even so, one theme continued to dominate the conversation. Royal commentators repeatedly emphasized that King Charles occupies two very different roles at the same time. On one hand, he is a father and grandfather navigating an extremely personal family disagreement. On the other, he is the sovereign, expected to uphold constitutional principles and avoid any appearance of interfering in government decisions. That balancing act, many experts argued, limits how openly he can respond, regardless of his personal wishes. Supporters of Harry, meanwhile, believe that public criticism often overlooks the challenges he has described since stepping away from royal duties. They argue that his security concerns should be evaluated on their own merits rather than through the lens of past disagreements. From their perspective, protecting his family remains a responsibility that outweighs public opinion, even if those decisions prove unpopular. Critics, however, remain unconvinced. They argue that continuing to discuss deeply personal matters in public has only made reconciliation more difficult. Every interview, every headline, and every new round of commentary, they say, risks creating additional distance between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. Whether that perception is entirely fair or not, it has become a recurring theme throughout royal coverage over the past several years. Then the conversation took another unexpected turn. Public attention increasingly focused on the future rather than the past. Many observers began asking what would happen if the current stalemate continued indefinitely. Could meaningful reconciliation still be possible after years of strained relations? Or had both sides become so entrenched in their positions that compromise was no longer realistic? Those questions remain unanswered, but they continue to shape public discussion whenever the family makes headlines. Another factor adding emotional weight to the story is the passage of time. Commentators frequently point out that opportunities for family reconciliation are never guaranteed. Moments that are postponed today may not always be available tomorrow. That reality has led many observers, regardless of which side they support, to express hope that private communication continues behind the scenes, away from public scrutiny and media speculation. Meanwhile, the wider royal family continues to carry out its official duties, projecting stability despite ongoing public interest in internal family tensions. Every major royal engagement, public appearance, or official announcement is now examined for signs of changing relationships, with even the smallest details often generating extensive discussion online. Ultimately, the controversy surrounding Harry's reported request has become about much more than security arrangements alone. It now represents a broader conversation about trust, communication, responsibility, and whether deeply fractured family relationships can ever fully heal under the constant glare of global attention. And just when many believed the story had reached its emotional peak, a fresh wave of commentary began shifting the spotlight once again, this time toward Prince Harry's public image, his role outside the monarchy, and whether recent events have fundamentally changed how both supporters and critics view his future. As public debate continued to intensify, attention increasingly shifted toward Prince Harry's future beyond the royal family. While discussions about security and reconciliation remained in the headlines, many commentators began asking a different question. What role does Harry now see for himself on the world stage? Since stepping back from royal duties, Harry has focused on charitable initiatives, mental health advocacy, veterans' causes, and media projects. Supporters argue that these efforts demonstrate his desire to build an independent identity while continuing to support causes he has long championed. They point to organizations such as the Invictus Games as evidence of his ongoing commitment to public service. Yet, critics view the situation differently. Some believe that frequent interviews, documentaries, and public statements have overshadowed his charitable work. They argue that media attention continues to focus more on family disputes than on his humanitarian efforts. As a result, many of Harry's projects often become intertwined with discussions about the royal family, whether intentionally or not. This ongoing media cycle has created a unique challenge. Every new appearance, speech, or announcement is closely analyzed for hidden messages or references to past events. Even when Harry speaks about unrelated topics, headlines often return to the same questions surrounding his relationship with King Charles, Prince William, and the monarchy. Royal experts suggest that escaping this narrative may prove difficult as long as public interest remains so intense. Meanwhile, public opinion remains deeply divided. Surveys conducted over recent years have shown that attitudes toward Prince Harry vary significantly depending on age, country, and political outlook. While some admire his willingness to speak openly about mental health and personal struggles, others believe his continued criticism of the institution has damaged public trust. These differing perspectives ensure that almost despite the ongoing controversy, one fact remains clear. Interest in Prince Harry's story has not faded. Every court, ruling, family gathering, official ceremony, or public appearance quickly becomes international news. This level of attention reflects not only fascination with the royal family, but also the broader themes of family conflict, public responsibility, privacy, and personal identity. Royal historians often remind audiences that family disagreements within the monarchy are nothing new. Throughout history, royal households have experienced periods of tension, reconciliation, and public scrutiny. While every generation faces different challenges, history suggests that relationships can evolve over time in unexpected ways. Whether that will happen in this case remains uncertain. Neither Prince Harry nor Buckingham Palace has indicated that a complete resolution is imminent. Instead, both sides continue to focus publicly on their respective responsibilities while keeping any private conversations out of the spotlight. Until more concrete information emerges, much of the discussion will likely remain driven by speculation rather than confirmed developments. For now, millions around the world continue watching closely, waiting for signs that the next chapter may bring healing instead of further division. But as recent events have shown, predicting the future of this royal story has become nearly impossible. And with fresh reports already beginning to circulate, many believe the biggest developments may still lie ahead. As the conversation surrounding Prince Harry continues to evolve, one thing has become increasingly clear. The story is no longer just about royal protocol or security arrangements. It has become a global discussion about family, trust, public life, and the extraordinary challenges of living under constant scrutiny. Many royal experts believe that time could ultimately play the biggest role in determining what happens next. History has shown that even the deepest disagreements within the royal family have, in some cases, softened over the years. While every situation is unique, relationships can change in ways that are impossible to predict. Others remain more cautious. They argue that rebuilding trust requires far more than the passage of time. Genuine reconciliation depends on private conversations, mutual understanding, and a willingness from all sides to move forward. These are deeply personal matters that are unlikely to unfold in public, regardless of how intensely the media continues to speculate. For Prince Harry, the future presents both opportunities and challenges. His charitable work, advocacy for veterans, and commitment to mental health awareness continue to earn praise from supporters around the world. At the same time, every public appearance is still viewed through the lens of his relationship with the royal family. This ongoing attention makes it difficult for any new project to stand entirely on its own. Meanwhile, King Charles continues balancing his responsibilities as monarch while carrying the personal weight of family tensions. Royal commentators frequently point out that the king's constitutional role limits what he can publicly say or do regarding private family matters. As a result, much of what happens behind palace doors is likely to remain confidential. This silence has only fueled more speculation. Every royal event, every family gathering, and every official statement is examined for clues. A simple photograph, a brief comment, or even seating arrangements at public ceremonies often become the subject of international headlines. Such intense scrutiny illustrates how closely the public continues to follow every development involving the House of Windsor. Despite countless reports and expert opinions, the full truth remains known only to those directly involved. Much of the public conversation is built on analysis, anonymous sources, and interpretation rather than confirmed information. That distinction is important, especially in a story where emotions and assumptions can easily overshadow verified facts. Still, one hope is shared by many observers. Regardless of differing opinions about past events, many people would welcome signs of healing between Prince Harry and his family. Whether that reconciliation happens quietly behind closed doors or never becomes public at all, it would represent a significant moment in one of the most closely watched family stories in modern history. Until then, the world will continue to watch, speculate, and debate every new development. The royal family has long captured global attention, but few stories have generated as much discussion as the ongoing relationship between Prince Harry and the institution he once represented. What happens next remains uncertain. But if recent years have taught us anything, it's that this story is far from over, and the next chapter could arrive when the world least expects it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates on the royal family and the biggest stories making headlines around the world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.